Thank you, and it's a pleasure to be here and with this story that the General President talked of yesterday, the major victory we had in Canada this year. This really is a story of perseverance and tenacity on the part of our locals, our members across the country, and the work of the IFF, both out of the Canadian office and out of the Washington office, just to not let this go by the wayside. The Public Safety Officer Compensation Benefit for Canadian firefighters and police officers was modeled after the U.S. fund, and it was first lobbied at the inaugural Canadian Legislative Conference in 1991. Since that time, we have built that benefit and that lobby effort to mirror the U.S. benefit, calling on it to be a $300,000 benefit for Canadian public safety officers. Throughout the 20-year period, we had both Liberal and Conservative governments in place that failed to act on it, although we have over the years had strong support from individual members of Parliament from all parties. In 2005, NDP member Peter Julian put forward a private members bill which called for the establishment of a memorial site for firefighters in Ottawa, but also for the benefit to be established. At that time, it was we had a Liberal government in place, and in 2011, we elected a Conservative government of Stephen Harper, a government that really was built on the concepts of smaller government. We knew we had very little chance of seeing that government establish the benefit. However, in 2012, a private members bill or motion from Liberal MP Ralph Goodale out of Regina, Saskatchewan, called on the establishment of the benefit. Even though the Liberals were not in a position of power and a private members bill is non-binding on the government, we had full support from both the Liberal and the NDP members of Parliament, and a very important help from a Conservative MP, Patrick Brown, who was well established with our local 1753 out of Barrie, Ontario. Patrick Brown was able to bring with him 18 Conservative members of Parliament to support the private members motion. And that turned out to be a real turning point, because even though the Liberals were not in power, they established their support for the benefit, and also with the support of the House at the time. In 2015, we were faced with another federal election, and just prior to the election in April, we had an opportunity to meet with then Liberal leader Justin Trudeau. That meeting came about from the hard work of our local 18 members here in Vancouver who had set this meeting up. At that meeting, we talked, Ralph Goodale, the private members, maker of the private members motion, was also there, and the government, or the Liberal leader, committed to the public safety officer compensation benefit if a Liberal government was elected. We were very active in the 2015 election. We established a program called Firefighters for Change. We knew a lot of our members did lean right and had support for the Conservatives, but we wanted to establish that the Conservative government in Canada had not been strong and good on firefighter issues, and we called for our members just to consider to change the government. In the run-up to the election, we had support from both the Liberal and the NDP parties and the leadership committing to establishing the public safety officer compensation. The Conservative government at the time, we requested similar support from them in a letter, and they failed to respond. So going into the 2015 election, the Liberals included it in their election platform as well, and in October of that year, we had the historic election which saw the Liberals elected with a majority government, a very strong majority government that really our members played a big part in the work there. Out on the East Coast, the Atlantic provinces, the Liberal candidates, MPs, swept the entire region in that area. After the election, the Prime Minister, in a series of mandate letters to each of his ministries, he named Ralph Goodale as the Minister of Public Safety. Ralph, again, the maker of that private members bill, so we knew we had established a strong footing within the Public Safety Minister. The Prime Minister, in his mandate letter to Minister Goodale, wrote that the Public Safety Officer benefit was a priority to the government and needed to be established. As Pat mentioned, the terminology they have used is the Community Heroes benefit, and that's how it will be known in Canada. Prime Minister Trudeau appeared at our 2016 Legislative Conference and made that commitment again to our delegates at that conference, although we still had not seen any commitment in the budget to fund such a benefit. In June of 2016, the government established a roundtable and brought in stakeholders from the police, EMS, and fire sectors across the country, both unions, volunteers, Indigenous communities, provincial, federal police officers, as well as municipal police officers. And the purpose of that meeting was to lay out and show what was established for the line of duty deaths for public safety officers. We went a step farther in that meeting and laid out a presentation on how we saw the benefit would work for Canadian public safety officers, and established that the government should consider utilizing existing infrastructure from provincial workers' compensation boards to make the determination on what would be the definition or what would establish a line of duty death. And in that way, we were able to capture cancers and occupational illnesses, anything that a provincial workers' compensation board would deem a line of duty death. That proposal that we put forward at that meeting was also supported by virtually every group representing workers in that room, including the fire chiefs and the police chiefs associations as well. So it made the job of the minister quite easy in knowing that he had a proposal in front of him that was supported by all of the stakeholders. And in 2017 of this year, the funding for the benefit was included in the budget, and it was included at $80 million over the first 5 years and at $20 million a year starting after the first 5 years. And the money would start to flow in April 1st of 2018, the 2018 fiscal year. Based on those numbers, we knew that the benefit has been established along the lines of a $300,000 benefit for each family. Although the regulations and the finalization of the benefit has not been released at this point in time, we continue to meet with the minister, and we've been told that that is the number that they will be looking at once the benefit is finally put in place. We had the announcement at the 24th Canadian Legislative Conference again this year, and on April 11th we had a ceremony at Parliament Hill where the Prime Minister and Minister Goodale came out and met with General President Schaeferger and the IFF delegates, and we were able to formally thank the government for coming through on this strong commitment and looking after the families of our members that will be served by this benefit. We got a great response on social media, and as I said, we continue to work with the government on designing and implementation of the plan and the benefit. I just can't say enough about the hard work of our affiliates who over 24 years didn't let this issue die and continued to work it through unfriendly governments and get support from our MPs throughout the years. And it really, as I said, it's a story of perseverance and tenacity, and this year was finally great to bring it home. And with that, we have one final slide with the video, if we can roll the video that E18 did just to sum up what we went through. After almost 25 years of lobbying for a national public safety officer benefit for Canada's first responders, the IFF is celebrating an incredible victory as the federal government has committed $80 million for a national community heroes benefit for the families of Canada's fallen firefighters and public safety officers.
Canada's new Community Heroes Benefit is a one-time tax-free and direct payment to the surviving family of firefighters, police, paramedics, and other public safety officers who die in the line of duty.
Flanked by IAFF leaders and members, Trudeau acknowledged those who put their lives in danger to protect Canadian citizens.
Our communities are safer places to live because of the sacrifices that you and your families make every single day.
Prime Minister Justin Trudeau made the announcement April 11th in Ottawa during the IFF Canadian Legislative Conference, fulfilling an election promise to support the families of those who make the ultimate sacrifice.
This journey for us began in 1992, and all of us today are here celebrating this incredible moment. On behalf of the 305,000 members that I'm privileged to represent, thank you.
Ralph Goodale, Canada's Minister of Public Safety and Emergency Preparedness, is a longtime champion of the benefit. His private member's motion, M388, was adopted in the House of Commons in 2012.
First responders put themselves and put their lives on the line. They deserve to know that their government and their country and the population they serve are standing with them and have their backs.
The families of our members who fall in the line of duty are now protected in Canada.